moment here.
Welcome back. This is StarCraft 2 here at MLG Spring Championship at the Anaheim Convention Center in Anaheim, California. I'm DJ Wheat.
And I'm Day 9. Game number 2 going to be started up. One of the players had a PC crash, so we'll be hopping right back into it in a moment. But, I want to talk a little bit about nerves, Marcus.
Sure.
There's so many players that we'll see be consistent top performers, or, even players who look amazing on the ladder, and whenever you see their replays, you just can't believe how good they are. But then when they come to the tournament environment, everything seems to just fall apart. I mean, we've seen Liquid Heroes struggle with this for a long time, have really big highs and really big lows, and I think this is, what brings us to Naniwa. We've seen him undoubtedly able to take down the best of the best. I've been talking most recently about his DreamHack performance. But let's not forget that MLG Global Invitational where he knocked out MVP and MST when those two players were in their peak form. He plays amazingly well, but last game was just a complete meltdown of sorts.
It's kind of weird. In the history of professional gaming, there's always been this thing, right? Because there's been great players who have second-guessed their own performance based off of, well, was it something with my setup, right? Like, did a lot of people get so comfortable playing at home or in a team house or a LAN environment, and you have to realize that when you get into that comfort level, the moment that your body doesn't feel that, then something doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's not the player just being able to perform or second guess. There's actually an exercise in just switching it up a little bit. We used to have our players go to LANs and just play at LANs so they would get experience playing somewhere that they're not so comfortable with.
Yeah.
I don't think either of these guys have the problems, but it's just, I always found that really interesting.
Yeah, that is a good point, because you think about something simple like cross country. I'm sure every high school or college cross-country team takes their team to hills and long courses and on terrain. So that way, because you never know exactly how the course is going to be when you actually get there. And it's that sort of variety that people are always preparing for the player that they have to play against in the matchup and the strategy. But the grueling schedule of a weekend-long tournament, the fact that you might have a game at 11 a.m. and 8 p.m., and there might be a 2-hour break in between where you can't play, you can't stay warmed up. How do you cope with that? That's an absolutely essential skill.
I want to bring up, we had an interview with Deer earlier, and he gave one of the best answers I've ever had in an interview, where we asked him about what do you think about sort of the format of this open bracket 128, because it's not necessarily something you've done a lot of. And he said, hey, I think it's awesome. It's testing my fundamentals. It's testing my awareness. It's testing my stamina. And those are the three perfect things. Those are the three skills that you have got to have to be able to come out on top of a bracket that anything can be thrown at you. You take a look at some of the games we saw this weekend, and you could see you could lose from a cannon rush. Good players lost. Again, fundamentals, awareness, stamina. Anyway, I thought that was just one of the best answers I've heard.
It's so true. It's not, you made the reference to the cannon play that we saw between Bubbles and Coach Park, but let's not forget we've seen almost every single player have nerve issues affect them in some way. We had DeMuslim missing a reactor on a starport for a little bit of time, but pulled it back together and was able to use his great control to win his series against Sasquatch. We saw Select have a pylon in his base. These are the sorts of things that no one in their right mind would look at that and go, oh, that guy's bad at StarCraft.
Exactly.
Of course, he's the best players in the world. It's just something that happens when you're in this situation. So again, coming back to Naniwa, Naniwa definitely one of the tip-top best, but he's even said before in interviews on Reddit that sometimes he feels like he's his own worst enemy.
I think that's true for a lot of players. I think a lot of players can sort of cloud themselves with maybe a lack of confidence, or just some of these players are so great, and I don't know. It's tough. When you mentioned, Sean, about a lack of consistency, I would never want to see a player think that their skills are lacking because they can't reach a level of consistency that even maybe the community should expect you to have if you're the best. Who has had consistency to win tournament after tournament after tournament after tournament? We saw several winners who have won several titles over and over, but we've yet to have someone who can absolutely dominate. And there are players out there that with every single loss they feel like they have let down themselves and their fans, etc. And it just can't be a realistic mindset, I think, in this sort of environment and at the top level.
I really don't think that there is any player who plays better in tournaments than they do at home in practice. For every player, it's the exact opposite. How can I play as well as I do in practice at this tournament? And that is really the gift of many players, like Innovation or Pardon, or they just seem to sit down and do their thing very, very, very well. So I want to spend a little bit of time talking about this upcoming map, Whirlwind, some of the basics of it in TVP. It's one of those interesting maps where dropping continues to be extremely threatening, extremely potent, all game long. Almost always we end up seeing a point in Protoss versus Terran where the Terran will kind of pull back to more full-on frontal attack play, and the drops will branch off from that, sort of working coordination with this. But I mean, this map is big. You really you will never have excellent coverage, ever. So, I mean, even your natural expansion, things can swing all the way around.
All right, and it looks like we are ready to rock and roll. Let's make sure that everyone is ready, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Making sure, okay.
And there it is.
There we go.
Yes, the countdown has begun. It's going to be game 2 between CM Storm and Alliance Naniwa.
I'm clapping. I'm ready. I'm ready. Whirlwind's map. So we see the flyby. Interesting places, a lot of like little nooks and crannies in this. The airspace, can also be difficult to deal with in some portions of the map. But as you mentioned, this one be big. Let's go ahead and introduce these players in the northwest position. As the blue Protoss, he's up 1 game and needs only 1 more to achieve victory in this series. Give it up for Polt!
And down in the bottom right, capable of incredible play. Will he be able to pull it out in game number 2 from Team Alliance? It is Naniwa.
So game 1, I don't know if like players just have decided that they're going to gift their first game to Polt every time they play them. But Polt has definitely been the happy receiver of a couple of games in that fashion. Now, granted, Naniwa obviously, had a couple things not really go his way in that first game, but just like when we saw the game versus Suppy, early pool didn't work out. I saw that smile on Polt's face, and I had to have felt like he had just been given another game. But Polt's ready to play, tooth and nail, a long macro game, aggressive game, whatever. So he's got to be feeling super comfortable in this position.
And we've been talking a lot about consistency and performance. Polt has been damn consistent forever. I mean, he is always getting deep. He actually lives in America, studying in Texas. But every time he shows up to an MLG, it doesn't matter if it's a Kesper Pro, an ESF Pro, Foreign Pro, Polt take him down. Not only can take him down, but does take him down. I don't think he's not gotten a top 8 at the last few tournaments he's been to, if I recall correctly.
Don't have the stats in front of me, Sean, but I honestly would not be surprised,
well, I don't have the stats on me either. I don't know why I put myself on the spot like that, Marcus. That's a bad play as a caster.
At least 9. Less than 100. Top 8s. All right, so we've got the first scout going out here. SCV for Polt, making its way around. His orbital does finish up, and he's just getting his first Marine. This time, first Reaper. This time, of course, he does open with the refinery so that he can go ahead and get that out. But looks like after the Reaper, instead of getting another one, he will go ahead and throw down that reactor.
Okay, now see, there's a lot of very cool meta plays going on right now. This is not a map where you would normally go Reaper. Because, I mean, look at the natural expansion where Naniwa's patrolling his probe, where Polt's gone toe-to-toe with the probe. This is the only place where you can pop up with a Reaper. It's very easy to shut down Reaper scouting with even a single Stalker. But Polt, and as a result, Naniwa is preparing himself to do some kind of early rush play. But look at this, the Reaper's going to pop up. Not only is it going to pick off the probe, but it's also going to be able to get right deep into the main. and it'll be able to see that Twilight Council.
Yeah, the Mothership Core going after him. Is he going to be able to get him out of there? He hasn't gone in. He did chase the Reaper away. And honestly, that would be incredible if somehow that Reaper did not get in there and see what is going on. We're talking balls of steel right here.
Look at that.
That's crazy.
He's going for a Dark Shrine right away. This is very bold from Naniwa. Look at this, no Stalker play, but these are the kind of crisp, thin timings that Naniwa is known for. Engineering Bay coming up from Polt. He's going for a fast +1 attack. And if he doesn't see any units coming up soon, he's going to get real suspicious. And there he is going in. Stalker's not out yet.
Uh-oh. Oh, the Reaper's going to go in for a second shot. It just needs one more. Oh, my
no. And will he go to the top? And and he sees it.
Unbelievable. I mean, what he sacrificed to get it out was exactly what he needed to stop the information from getting out.
Oh my God, is this Reaper going to get all the way out? Oh, a very frustrating moment for Naniwa. It did the full ring around the rosy, gets out, 0 units lost for CM Storm's Polt.
That Mothership Core is so mad right now. So mad, as everything has been spotted. In fact, going back in, but he is going to go down. That Stalker's not going to let him go through. Now, we've got the missile turret at the front. That's to be expected. Also, one inside the main mineral line. But I mean, honestly, he's not going to really. He's not going to be able to get it. Yeah, 647. He's not going to be able to get it past you. This thing's going to just melt.
But look at how smartly Naniwa is playing out of this situation. I mean, he builds 1 DT. Doesn't go overboard with the Dark Templar, just 1. And this 1 DT is actually going to indirectly cause a lot of damage to Polt. Because look at Polt, not yet willing to throw down any mules. Look in Polt's main, delay on a lot of his other buildings. Still just has 2 barracks out, stim en route, but Naniwa going straight for the +1 armor. I mean, might even be able to get away. With getting some key upgrade like charge. Could even take an expand pretty quickly, like at around 9 to 10. So Naniwa is playing this off very, very smartly.
And, I mean, just pushing out the probes right now, just getting an economy up. He is going to send this Mothership Core inside, at least just to do a little scout here. He's going to immediately fall back when he sees a ton of Marines right there.
Yeah.
Second bunker does go down. I believe there was actually 3 going up at one point, but he canceled one of them.
Yeah.
Right now, Naniwa has good map control. Center Zelnaga Tower, he's got the patrolling DT. That's not going to let anything out unless a scan is accompanied by it. So, you know, looking pretty good considering how this all played out. Made those sacrifices early, and as a result, you know, not really in a bad position.
And, you know, for any new players sort of watching, if you look at the unit count, you see 1 DT, 2 Stalkers, a Mothership Core, and a Sentry. It seems like there's nothing on the map for Naniwa, but this is such a classic example of how you can defend with very little. 1 DT, well, Polt can't move out until he has a lot of scans or a Raven. Well, no need to worry about drops because there's really no way that the medevacs can finish until around 10 minutes. So it's the knowledge of these timings and the structure that's so great. And what did Naniwa do in the meantime? He's getting up 7 gateways, +2 armor, charge, Templar archives. The moment that Polt is able to move out, a flood of speed zealots and archives are going to be out. And the DT at the front sees those units and actually backs away.
Yeah, he does not decide to go after him. Oh, the shimmer. The shimmer. Polt's like, wait, I see something there. But he decides to go ahead and get out of there. And I like that. Don't forget, there's always a little potential to slip in there, but a full wall is up. Those bunkers remained occupied. So here we see a couple of medevacs heading out as well. That Stalker moves away from the Zelnaga Tower. And, you know, this does set Polt up for some potential drop play. See if he gets any units kind of spread around. And you remember, he doesn't have that much at the front. Our forge go down, but he's going to need something for defense.
So Polt's spreading out his Marines. It doesn't matter what build you're doing, what matchup you're doing, what map you're playing. All big deviations and strategies revolve around asking the following question. Is my opponent taking a 3rd base or not? Polt poking at the front, he's only thinking, yes, no 3rd base down yet. Got to make sure that I can get a lot of units up to be able to face my opponent, who's probably also getting a lot of units up. That's why we see 2 more barracks going down. That's why we're going to be maybe seeing a little bit of a hold up on getting the extra engineering bay, and why we're seeing the reactor on the factory earlier. Great answers from CM Storm's Polt.
So with the 7 gateways, obviously huge reinforcements coming out from Naniwa. Here comes the drop. It's heading over.
Already.
Oh my gosh, and look at that. Observer sees everything. The Templar is going to back off just a little bit, baits these medevacs in. It's not going to be a full kill, but he does force the attack away. Very, very nicely done, Sean.
Really nice. And gosh, look at Naniwa's timing. Instant +3 armor. Polt is going to begin slowly adding in those Hellbats.
The Warp Prism too. I like this, you know, it's sort of like a forgotten thing. Yeah, the DTs are out there, but I would love to see some Warp Prism drops into, you know, into Pulse Man. I think that'd be...
I mean, this is a very common way to abuse a Terran in the mid game. What do Terrans tend to do in the mid game? Have as many units as they can at the Protoss' side of things, harassing like we see Polt doing right now. And then with these 7 gateways, well, great, I'm just going to start warping Zealots into your main since all your stuff is over on my half of the map.
And he's going to get a cancellation on this 3rd. Army does move in. Not able to get a force field down to stop those guys. Meanwhile, that 3rd is up for Polt. The Warp Prism is going all the way around. And there is going to be a Viking. Now, I always find these situations to be interesting because there'll be this point where the Viking, if it's all the way over to the very right of its patrol, will it hit that Warp Prism? We'll keep an eye on it here in just a second. It's got Polt actually returning to his base, and there we go. Warp Prism going in, and all he sees
runs right into it. Naniwa will be pulling back, so continuing to play conservatively. Now, Warp Prism can outrun a Viking, so Polt won't quite be able to take it down, but Naniwa has taken control of the center watchtower, or I should say removed control from Polt in the center watchtower.
Yeah, Polt, you know, I really feel like he wanted to do some serious damage there to with those drops initially. So what does he do? Well, he loads up 4 additional medevacs, and he's going to try to go in this time. Meanwhile, the rest of his army clearing out this pylon here in the north portion of the map. I do believe the pylon saw all 4 medevacs loaded up, so it'd be pretty silly to drop there at that point, but the threat of it alone is good for Polt.
Warp Prism still kind of teasing a drop at the left, but look at how well defended Polt is right now. He has the bunker and the turret. Naniwa is not getting in there anytime soon, but he finds a way around into the main base, and now this is where it's a real problem for Polt. Uh-oh. Big warp, and Warp Prism's going to fall down, but at the same time, Naniwa is seizing the center of the map.
Yeah, and Naniwa moving in. He's going to take out the 1 unit there. Meanwhile, a lot of Zealots inside the main. SCVs being pulled back to the natural. There's a couple of DTs in there as well. And getting these initial Ghosts actually EMPing that DT, not going to turn around and kill him.
Big drop in the main base. Polt moving in with a lot, and it looks like Naniwa spots it all, but feedback's going down on some of the key medevacs, but it doesn't look like Naniwa quite has enough. The main gets cleared out, but in the meantime, Naniwa moves in to the 3rd base of Polt. Polt's 3rd taking a lot of damage. He needs to get those SCVs out now, and a ton of them are going to fall. Will he get down on any force fields? No, but still the main base from Naniwa is looking to be in a dangerous position. Supplies still very, very close.
Yeah, Naniwa's going to definitely take this 3rd down. It is gone, but inside the main base, this could do a lot of damage. Polt takes out a Colossus.
And he recalls.
Oh. I think that might have been a little bit too late, unfortunately. I mean, he took that 3rd down a bit ago. He didn't need to lose all the tech structures over in the side. I don't know, maybe he didn't have the energy, actually.
I mean, this is actually going to be a very nice position for Polt. Look at Polt's unit count. 14 Marauders, 31 Marines, 9 Ghosts, and 8 Hellbats.
Yeah.
Sure, there's a Colossus out, but there is 1 Colossus out and nothing more. So what is Polt going to do? He's going to go as fast as possible. 7 gateways in production. Even gateway units in that number are still going to struggle against Polt's pretty much anti-gateway composition.
Polt sitting just outside the natural and the 3rd of Naniwa, and Naniwa knows that he's about to be hit with a lot of pressure. These gateways actually not offering a very good environment for Naniwa to fight in. The rocks are going to be cleared out here. Smart move by Polt if he goes in for the attack, but I believe if he commits here at the 3rd, Polt will then swing this other army into the natural.
And there's the stim. He's trying to get to go. Oh my God. Sensational position from Polt. But look at the warp and the Colossus being hit from the back. Polt, what a stunning play. Low on Vikings, no big deal. Marauders flank from all angles, and Polt cleans everything up with ease. GG from Naniwa. Polt with a compelling performance. Clearly pleased. An ever-popular player here at MLG. Has pulled a great win. He walks right out in front of the crowd.
I mean, a beautiful flank at the end.
Oh, giving Naniwa the thumbs down.
A beautiful, beautiful flank at the end, Sean. I mean, that was great. He had that little group just right outside, knew that he could pressure at the third to force a reaction.
Yeah.
And you're right, without those Vikings, how are you going to deal with the Colossus? You hit them when they're all alone by themselves in the back of the line.
So
great work.
Amazing. I mean, Naniwa and Polt both doing some great tactics with the medevacs and the warp prisms, but you could see that big smile of relief for Polt. It's really easy in the early stages of the tournament, no matter what your play level is, to think, well, everyone else has been training too. Then you get through one tough opponent, and then a tougher one, and then a tougher one, and then Naniwa, one of the most renowned players in the history of MLG, to take him out 2-0 in pretty convincing style too. Polt has got to be feeling amazing. He is now in the semi-finals of the winner's bracket.
Yeah, he could take the night off because he's going to need the rest. Tomorrow, he will be going up versus Deer in winner's round 6, which is just before the semifinals. A win in that game brings you into the semifinals of everything overall, and a win from there takes you into the grand finals. So some of these players, 2 victories away from potentially winning, and MLG 1 away from getting into the grand finals. Hero versus Hyun is the other match that will be played. I believe these are taking place tomorrow. But Naniwa will be joining in the lower bracket. It doesn't mean that he's out yet. He still has a good chance here in this competition. I'll tell you what, this is where the games get real, real good.
Yeah, and I gotta say one more shout out to Polt. He is now the farthest Terran in the tournament. Guaranteed top 6 position, 2 Protosses, 1 Zerg also guaranteed in top 6. And to talk a little bit about that win that he just performed against Naniwa, we're going to go ahead and throw it on over to Nick, who has an interview with CM Storm's Polt.
Thank you, Day 9. I'm here with Polt, and first of all, congratulations on your victory. You look very convincing. The first question I have is, in the past, Terran vs. Protoss has often been your strongest matchup, and looking at how well you did against Naniwa, is it still your strongest matchup?
예전부터 토스전이 진짜 너무 강했는데 지금도 생각할 때 토스전이 제일 좋은 것 같아요.
For now, after that Heart of the Storm, I think that TVG, TVP, and TVP, that 3 races are, for me, it's pretty even. But like you said, I've been very good at TVP so long time, so I'm still very confident there.
So your next opponent is going to be STX Deer, and this is going to be the first Korean opponent you're going to play so far in this MLG tournament. How do you feel going up against him?
이제 백동준 선수 만나는데 이제 첫 한국 선수로 만나는 거잖아요. 그래서 그거에 대해서 좀 소감이 어떤지.
It's the first Korean player at this MLG Spring Championship, and because I did the last game was a very good warm-up game, so I will do very well.
That's good to hear. Now, I also want to ask you, because you're one of the few pro gamers who's very successful at gaming, but you also go to college at the same time. I think you're studying in the Korean National University right now. How do you balance your studies and your pro gaming?
이제 선수들 중에서 학교와 게이밍을 둘 다 하는 선수들이 많지는 않잖아요. 그래서 그걸 어떻게 하세요? 어떻게 그거를?
It's actually pretty hard for me. But the best way is like normal school days. Then it's easy, just study sometime and play sometime. But in the midterm or final exam period is very hard. At that time, I just focus on the school things. But after the exams, there will be a vacation. So like this time, I'm focusing on gaming. So I'm doing very well.
The people here in Anaheim definitely love your performances, and we're eager to see you in your next match. And the last question I have for you is, so far you haven't dropped any series yet. Do you think this trend will continue, or you can go straight through the winner's bracket, or you maybe think of taking a scenic route through the lower bracket?
아직까지 지진 않았잖아요. 그냥 이대로 쭉 결승까지 갈 것 같아요? 아니면 어쩌면 루저스 브래킷도 갈 것 같아요?
Of course, I will be there and go know the winners final and the finals to directly.
It's always the best route. Thank you, Polt. And back to you, Day 9 at the desk with Marcus.
Thank you so
you very
much. Oh, a great show of confidence from Polt in that interview.
Yeah,
It was really,
love
really
the smile.
excellent.
He's great.
Yeah.
I like that guy. He's a good dude.
Yeah, and
Good
you know,
dude.
I mean, very often the traditional Korean players, very much so, like, you know, I hope to show good games for my fans, but I love that show of personality. It's like, oh, I had a nice first warm-up game there. Really excited to see him go toe-to-toe with Deer coming up. Deer, of course, has been on a tear. He's a player who not just performed well here, but to qualify to get here, had to
it
play
wasn't easy.
in the Casper preliminaries, besting players like SOS Flash, Soul Key, Innovation. None of those players able to make it to this tournament because players like Deer got through to the finals.
You guys have been absolutely phenomenal over the past 2 days. We've still got more action for you left in day 2. Tomorrow is Championship Sunday, a day I am always excited for at any MLG Pro Circuit event. We are going to take a break, but when we come back, more StarCraft 2 right